I'm starting to feel a tiny bit worried about what's happening right now, because in about a week and a half's time, we kickstart a new Premier League season, yeah? And I have to say, does it look like right now we are ready for the league to come? In my opinion, I wish preseason was at least another 2 weeks minimum, just so we have more time for this team and squad to understand each other, but most importantly, understand what they must do in Maresca's setup and system. I've agreed with Maresca. Preparation hasn't been perfect. Playing games every 3 days isn't helping when I think ideally these guys need to be in the training grounds, like put them in that capsule for at least a week, 2 weeks, no distractions, no games, because quite clearly these guys still need a lot of work when it comes to understanding what they must do in this Maresca system. Yet again, this was a game where we saw tons of defensive mistakes, weak application defensively, poor, non-existent pressing at times, weakness in the tackle. And it did feel like maybe out of anything, there was like this mental lethargy in our game. Mentally, we were slow, we weren't winning second duels, we weren't really attempting too many to begin with. And the ball was constantly bouncing in favor of Real Madrid, who just seemed a bit hungrier, a bit sharper, and clearly they're the best team in the world. They've played with each other for years, and they're the little details and facets that you can see, right? But tonight, man, outside of like a handful of nice moments of play, nice exciting things done by individuals, there wasn't much really that you're left with thinking, wow, you know what? This is something we can take forward from this game to Inter Milan now. And after Inter, we're going to be ready for the Premier League, because I'm still feeling in my heart, man, it's not looking too great right now, to be fair with you. If there was one big weakness tactically though that I'm seeing, I was starting to have some, not reservations, that's the wrong words, but maybe some second opinions now on this whole man-marking pressing setup that Maresca wants to implement in the team. As we know, he said that when we played against Pochettino's Chelsea team in the FA Cup, he noticed that there was an opportunity for this team to, press in a man-marking fashion. Pochettino didn't really tend to use that too often. Is there a reason as to why? Now, I don't want to scrutinize what Maresca wants to do too soon just yet, especially when guys like Caicedo isn't fully fit, especially when most of your guys aren't fully fit and aren't ready right now. But I just felt like maybe it's the experience, quality, all of these things combined of Real Madrid, but they just knew exactly how to spin our blocks, how to play through us. They were regularly using a third man run as a distraction to just shift our defensive blocks time and time again. Did you notice like the fullbacks and Vasquez or Fran Garcia would make those underlapping runs infield at times just to disrupt our defense? Then they'd circle back into position, 3v2 against us down the left and also down the right hand side, and Madrid would regularly find a third man runner in behind after these moments where they could play passes through our defense, and we were regularly getting punished by these moves time and time again. Now, not every team plays like Real Madrid, I can accept that, but I think what I noticed was the lack of understanding at times. It did seem like there was this confusion between players' instincts and what they had to do in the system. I think when players wanted to go man v man or wanted to get tight or do what their normal actions were, they then thought to themselves, but is this actually what Maresca expects of me? Because we aren't working on this in the training ground. And I do think that sadly, when teams aren't that great and when you're introducing a new style, there must be a commitment to that new style, right? Otherwise, you will never ever improve in any single facet. And when you watch football at the highest levels, listen, we can constantly forget the fact that we're fortunate enough to have like a bird's eye view of the game, so we can foresee where passes should be, where players should run, etc, etc. But if you've played the game yourself, or if you're at the stadium and you're like on a grounds level view, you'll see, oh crap, this is where the genius of these guys comes into play. And this is where the understanding of the system comes into play, because all those little mistakes pile up. If the positioning's not perfect, if the players haven't spread wide, if they time the run poorly, if they get the pass wrong, etc, etc, these are all the little breakdowns in play that can affect the potential of any system, right? And it does feel like, sadly, we're in a situation where we're gonna have to suffer at first before hopefully we start seeing some signs of life. Let's see what happens, but right now, if there's one thing I'm not liking, it's that man marking thing at the moment. And I'm personally feeling like, do we just have enough aggression up front when it comes to pressing? Because we're too easy to play through. If you're going for a high-line defensive structure, yeah, you need guys aggressive in front of you who are looking to stop those balls getting played through you. And we don't have that outside of you. We do not have that at all yet. And it gets me thinking, how long will Maresca persist with this until maybe he realizes I might have to make some adaptations and tweaks to try and get this team working? That's been the million-dollar question most managers have suffered with, because let's keep things real, they're inheriting a squad they have to get the best out of, and it's not always perfectly tailored in their image right. So I felt like I had to get these things out the way. How are you guys feeling? Do you feel like you're a little bit worried? Are you still quite reserved and patient? You don't care what happens in preseason. It's only the Premier League you care about, and you still think there's more to come from this team? Let us know right now in the comment section. But to end things, of course, let me go through the review. Let's go through some big moments. Of course, the lineup, I nearly got the lineup right, outside of Jorgensen starting and of course Badia Chills starting too. By Badia starting, it meant that Levi Cole played in the base of the, makeshift back three, and he had that responsibility of being able to kickstart attacks at times. Now, I felt like out of all the other defenders apart from Reece James, he was really quite active defensively. I did feel like at times he wasn't always perfect. He was a bit sloppy in his decision making. I think some of the line breaking passes weren't consistently coming off too, and I just feel like there was just like this lack of control at times for Levi. And I just always thought to myself, in a perfect world, Levi would have like a Rudiger, right, who's playing alongside him for the next 1 to 3 years minimum. He's learning, he has that experience, and then when the experienced guy moves on, Levi's fully ready to take the mantle. Sadly, none of our young defenders have that. But it's quite interesting that no centre-back at the moment has shined in pre-season. Not Badia, not Fofana, not Tosin, and not Levi Cole. And I mention this point not to make excuses up, but when your whole defence and centre-back partnerships aren't necessarily blossoming, it does also reveal that the team's defensive structure is not great. In my video on 5 things Maresca must get right, I did stress defensive structure for a reason here, because if you don't have that press in front, you're gonna be so porous at the back, and that's what we're seeing time and time again with this high line, poor man marking structure, and lack of aggression behind the ball. It's not great, but in terms of the game, I would say it was quite entertaining until maybe the final 25 minutes when Madrid's B team, or maybe their C team, were playing in second gear throughout the whole game and just completely moved to us and still outplayed us. You guys know, the ego in me, I can't accept that type of stuff. I wasn't happy, but before that final 25 minutes, it was a pretty entertaining game. Both teams did allow space in behind for each other to exploit. Madrid do this, of course. If you guys watch them a lot, you're not going to be surprised by this, but it did make for some very interesting battles on the field. You looked at Madueke versus Fran Garcia. You're looking at Reece James versus Vinicius Jr. I always love when these two play against each other. It's a real battle. Both players are really trying to win that individual battle, and yeah, I just think that's one of the peak footballing battles in Europe right now. You're looking at guys like Rodrigo, Gusto, and many others. But Madrid, of course, naturally had the upper hand. As I said at the start of this video, tactically, they took advantage of us. Those runs, the pace, the rotations. It was too much for us at times, and that's why we conceded 2 goals by I think the halfway point in the first half. Brahim Diaz, the guy's an exceptional player, great dribbler, was tearing us time and time again. And we made it too easy for Madrid because there was no pressure being applied. How many times in that game was I seeing our players in those little positions doing the fake press thing of looking like they're, in control of the situation without being in control, because they're not getting in the personal spaces of Real Madrid. They're not showing any aggression. They're not, putting the pressure on them, for God's sake. That's what pressure means. We're not doing anything like that. We're allowing Real Madrid at times doing passing rondos to each other. There was a moment in the game where I think Vinny and Juan Fran must have played 5 consecutive first time passes back to each other. They had the ball for 2 seconds and no one won it off them. It's worrying when we're going this whole route, yeah, but them basics, them foundations, the aggression, yeah, the stuff that you need to, actually build a team with just isn't there at the moment. But yeah, the first goal from Madrid, a pretty tame effort, of course, to flex off. Good start. I thought the team were very slow and tracking back to get back to try and deal with that, of course. And for the second goal, I thought maybe Jorgensen came off his line a bit too much. But again, I'm not going to hold him to too much contempt because I think we kind of conceded that goal way before Jorgensen got involved based on just this porous defensive structure we're seeing at the moment. And listen, Man City peppered us with 4 goals in a similar fashion, and to think we play against them in a week and a half, it feels like it's coming too soon. I think one of the only good moments came from Madueke. Of course, Enzo Fernandez plays a delicious, delicate, inviting cross to the far post. It was so perfect that I think both Fran Garcia and Courtois got confused about who was going to deal with that. Noni had the awareness, of course, to divert his run in between them, and then actually score a nice cushion header to make it 2-1. And you think to yourself, okay, you know what? We showed at times that we were able to play through Real Madrid's, but what kept costing us time and time again is a combination of stupidity. Maybe stupidity is the wrong word, that's too harsh, but a combination of midness. My lord, how many times did players mess up the final ball? I'm looking at Raheem Sterling again. There was that one particular square ball he had to play in front of Nkunku. I feel sorry for Nkunku because he's actually genuinely probably one of our best players by far in this team. Not everyone is good enough to play on his wavelength, I've seen. No one's clocking his runs that he's making. My lord, he was in the perfect position so many times in this game to take strikes, and his teammates let him down because they couldn't play the passing. I'm looking at Mudryk after that nice run he went on. Stupid shot when he's off balance, but then Nkunku separated himself and really got to take the shot then. This is a guy that scores in the Champions League. This is a guy that's been scoring for fun. How some of these guys do not know how to find him is actually a bit worrying in my opinion. But as I was saying, Sterling, my lord, so frustrating. Again, he does this thing where he constantly runs into his man. He just loves physical contact in the field. I don't get it. He wasn't great in that situation. There were times when I noticed Mark Hughes' runs weren't being found. So many moments of players making the wrong decision, taking shots at the wrong time, and not finding men in better position. And I think normally you see this when confidence isn't too high, right? On top of that, I thought fitness wasn't great. I thought Maresca could have maybe done more to sub players off quickly. Noni's, I think he's played 2 90-minute games in a row. By the end of that second half, he had nothing left in him, and we saw that with that terrible free kick right in the end. So yeah, I wonder what Maresca's going to be saying. Actually, I'm not going to be surprised what he says after this game, but yeah, man, it's just not an ideal preseason at all. Yes, it was nice when we beat Club America. I think all of us are just willfully hoping that was going to kickstart anything at all, but it just hasn't been the case right now. We gassed it way too much. I saw people do way too much discussing that win as if Club America weren't the most open team of all time. If we play against a team like that every week, we'd be going undefeated in a league campaign, right? But now we wait for Inter Milan. We wait to see what type of progress gets made in the team. But again, I feel like my expectations are realistic, but sadly, they're not the best ones right now. I'm not here to say, oh, does this mean you think Maresca's a fraud? Nah, come on. If I think he is, I'd be saying that straight from the start, yeah. But as I've said in many videos, the preparation this preseason just hasn't been perfect. So my friends, that is everything from this game today. Share your thoughts and opinions. I'm Nini FC. This is BlueLionsTV. See you all soon. Cool.